Namaste, good evening, everybody. Good evening. Very warm welcome to this meeting in stillness tonight. Good to see everybody. I hope you can hear me okay. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Yes. So let us begin this evening's meeting with stillness meditation together. So just extending this invitation into very deep rest inside yourself. So just allowing yourself to become still. And bringing the focus and the energy away from the head and into the body. And just becoming naturally present with yourself. And many sensations may be present for you, many feelings, many emotions. Is it possible to just allow them to be as they are inside you? Is it possible to not grasp at them and identify with them, but more rest in this background of stillness in you? And you begin to sense this state where you are fully conscious, you are fully awake, but you are without thought. You're simply here as the presence of being. And that place is free of information. It is free of content. Yet it is full of peace, full of silence, full of God. And you're not being asked to imagine anything. You're not being asked to visualize anything. Where I'm pointing you to is before all of that. I'm inviting you to put aside all roles and all responsibilities and simply be empty in yourself. Be empty of time. Be empty of intention. Be empty of identity. When you empty everything out, there is something here which cannot be emptied out. It is the ground of pure being, of natural innocence. Of natural simplicity. The mind will avoid this state. The world will avoid this state. But those who are called into truth, they come to rest in this state. They come to rest in natural state. They leave aside everything that they are not, until what they truly are reveals itself. You cannot leave aside your true self. And from this recognition is coming a much deeper peace than the person can create. A much more profound silence that the person could ever hold on to. And a direct realization that we can never ever be separate from God. In a couple of moments, I'll bring the meditation to an end. By ringing a bell. And so just resting in being together for the last couple of moments of the meditation. Before we open up for sharings or questions, I just wanted to share a few things that came to me. And in particular around what is the core teaching here. What is the core understanding that needs to take place here? And much of this path that is being shared is about self-introspection. It is about looking very deeply into the core of ourself. And beginning to see what is it that we are basing our sense of self upon. When we truly look inside, what is our core sense of self? And if we are basing our sense of self on just being an individual person, then that is quite an unstable reality. On that level of reality, we are always somehow incomplete. So what is being encouraged here is that we look deeply into ourselves and we begin to discover that before the sort of the personal I is here, there is this background of being consciousness, of beingness. And here you're being invited to acknowledge this sense of beingness inside you. Acknowledge it and get a sense of what it is like to just rest as being. You are not trying to get rid of your humanness, but to see what happens when you don't fully identify yourself there. And as you come into the beingness, as you begin to deepen into the beingness, then you're not so much studying spirituality or learning about spirituality, but you're actually now deepening just into yourself. And you're beginning to find what I call the stable ground of being, or the natural sense of presence inside us all. And as we come into this state of presence, that will be able to very much hold our humanness. That will be able to hold our inner child. That will be able to reassure us and take care of our human existence. So it is a shift from the personal identity into the beingness identity. That is the main core of what is being shared here. For some people, that is enough. For some people, they come to the ground of being, and that is enough. But there may be some amongst you who also see that both the personal consciousness and the beingness consciousness, they are both seen and witnessed by, let's say, the pure consciousness self. And in fact, that pure consciousness self is ever present in us. It is always what is naturally here. It is always what is naturally aware, naturally conscious, naturally witnessing. The first part that I spoke about is a movement in love. The movement from person to presence is a movement in love and in truly embodying, but truly looking at ourselves and facing every aspect of the human condition. The recognition of the witnessing consciousness, that is wisdom. The realization of that which is always present, always here, never ever not here. And the union of love and wisdom is truth. And this is the core teaching here, the core understanding here. And these meetings are to encourage you and to stand alongside you as you deepen into your true selves, into your true identities. Until you come to the point where it's absolutely clear for you about who and what you are. So if you want to use me in the best way, use me for that. Yeah. Don't use me for philosophy or anything like that. I don't know anything about that, nor am I interested. Use these meetings to discover yourself. And use this Sangha field to sense support and encouragement in this. So I would like to open this up now. And if anybody wishes to speak with myself or Marika, or if anybody simply wishes to share, then please use the hand up option and we will come to you. So I'm coming first to Helen and then to Howes. I think Howes is Susan. We'll see. First I'm coming to you, Helen.
Good evening.
Hey.
This is a question, I don't know, it just came now spontaneously, and something wanted to know, what is your experience of living out of presence or living out of the self, the true witness, when you go about life? Because I feel like it's easy to get lost between the person and the presence. When I live my day-to-day life, I can fall out of, for me, staying connected with my body, my breath and presence, and get a little like lost in all things going on. And I'm wondering if it's any difference between living for you in the pure witness, as in this dance between the person and the presence. And just wanted to hear something about practical day-to-day living and going about making decisions and everything.
Yes. You know, at first, it may sound like one has always got to be in presence and one has always got to be very sort of focused on that. And there is a period where one is moving from personal consciousness into presence consciousness, where that is very much the case, where we need to really focus on heart presence. We really need to focus on the I amness, and we really need to take lots of breaks where we are just kind of resting in this kind of spaciousness without content. But as that sort of deepens and matures in us, and also as we begin to awaken to the pure seer, the pure seer, then for me, what it becomes, rather than a kind of feeling like I've got to do something and keep something up, it becomes, for me, it becomes more, I just need to not pick up I. I just need to not pick up this sense of I and just remain empty of I. Then something is just here by itself. It's almost like for a while we feel like we need to do something. And we do. For a while we do need to make effort. We do need to have a sort of sense of focus and be very aware and all of these things. For a while we do. But at a certain point it becomes much simpler than that. And it becomes just about this recognition, okay, don't pick up I. And what is I? When I'm speaking about I, what am I referring to? I'm referring to the contracted center, the egoic I. And I'm very aware of what that looks like inside me. And for all of us, I'm encouraging you, become very aware of what the egoic I is. Because people say, oh, it's just my ego, it's just my ego. But actually we must become really clear about what that is. Because ego is not thoughts, nor is ego feelings. nor is ego emotions, nor is ego sensations. It only becomes ego when our sense of self joins with that. And once our sense of self joins with that, then so many things can build up around that. So many concepts and ideas, and so much can build upon that. So I'm very much encouraging people, look into your sense of I. What is this sense of I in you? And when I look in myself, I see that there is a kind of a contracted energy field in me. And it's a contracted energy field that for the first 35 years of my life, I just felt naturally that that was what I was. And I was desperately trying to cover that up. But then I saw through the pointings and through just having this deep calling into truth, that there is something inside me that sees that knows that is aware of that. And that which knows this contracted center, that itself is before the contracted center. And it is possible for me to be without the contracted center. It may still be there. It may still have some sort of apparent existence. But without joining my unconscious identity with it, then its power is gone. Its power is gone. Then sometimes you may feel, at times you may, if there is strong emotional turbulence arising, if there's strong inner child emotions arising, or you're in difficult situations, you may feel, okay, I really need to find heart presence. I really need to be in heart presence, because heart presence can sort of stabilize these emotions in us. But there are lots of other times where there's just this kind of neutrality, this beautiful neutrality. Just this sense of, whatever words I give, it's not quite right, but just this sense of existence. And it doesn't need me to do anything to it. I just need to just let that be and not pick up the I in myself. And then I'm not separate from that. I'm not apart from that. And in that recognition, there is just a deep sense of peace and a deep sense of rest. And paradoxically, it fully allows our humanness to be who we are. We no longer need to be perfectly spiritual. We no longer need to always be meditating or chanting or whatever. We may still continue with those things. They may still go on, but we will not feel like we need them to get closer to God. Because we will see that to get closer to God, all we need do is not pick up I. Then ourself and God, it is the same. We are an expression of that then. And actually what this comes down to, what it becomes a path of pure simplicity, of pure and natural simplicity. But we have to be ready for that, because it takes a kind of refinement process must go on, where we truly begin to enjoy our own silence and enjoy our own emptiness and enjoy just being as we are. Ramana Maharshi, he just said, be as you are, which really means be without ego, be without the false self, be without self-image, be without egoic image. Just be as you are. And this simple, simple invitation, this natural invitation, as it enters enters your heart, you begin to recognize, actually, this is so simple. It's so natural. And what it is more than anything else, it is freedom. It is freedom for us to be as we are. The burden of trying to be something other than what we are is gone. The burden of trying to be, better than what we are is gone. And we are one human being who is no longer troubling the world. We're not troubling the world, and we're not troubling ourselves. We are just as we are. And this is very beautiful to be like that. The simplest, you become the simplest. And people with strong ego, they won't even notice you. They won't even acknowledge you. They will kind of think you're insignificant. Many years ago, I remember being at a meeting with Eckhart Tolle, and he just came in just so, like, insignificantly. He just came in so gently, and he just sat down in front of hundreds of people for about 20 minutes and didn't say a word. And that is totally in alignment with the natural state. I never feel when I come to these meetings that I can prepare anything, or I can feel, okay, I'm going to speak about this tonight. All I'm coming with always is just this openness and just this willingness and invitation to all of us to see if, as Rumi put it, we can lay to rest in that ground. What is that ground? It's the ground of being. Can we put aside all differences? Politics, leave aside. Religion, leave aside. Philosophy, leave aside. Leave aside everything and just lay down in this ground of being and see if there is something wrong there.
And when it comes to dissociation, how does that come into the picture?
Yes. Dissociation is happening when our sense of I, the false I, what we may call the contracted center, is disidentifying from the body and is kind of escaping the body. And then we may feel a sense of relief, but that will not be a kind of embodied awakening. That will be a kind of escape from ourself. So that is why I'm always encouraging to come down through the body. Come down through the body. Come into the spiritual heart. The spiritual heart is fully embodying ourselves, is fully allowing our humanness. But when you go to the core of the spiritual heart, you will see that actually there's nothing there. There's not something in the middle of the spiritual heart. The spiritual heart is the sense I am, the feeling of beingness, I am. But if you go to the core of the I am, there is nothing there. But that nothing is the core of ourself, and it is witnessing, it is aware, it is God consciousness. But it is not dissociated. It is not flying away anywhere. The dissociation happens when the mind takes on the position of the witness, and then the mind is dissociating. That is not the true witness.
Yeah, it helps.
Yeah.
Good to see. Yeah, I feel this has been my path to understand that this comes together and that there is no split between the body and this witnessing consciousness and presence. That's all actually one.
Yeah.
Yeah, so thank you.
Thank you, Helen. And just to say one more thing, they are more refined levels of consciousness. So the body consciousness is what we could say is a gross consciousness. We can feel that, we can touch that, we can sense that. But to come inside the body consciousness is the beingness consciousness. And the beingness consciousness is much more subtle. It's much more, it's more refined.
And vibration.
Yeah, yeah. And if you come into the core of the beingness, you come to the self. They are not in three different locations. The body is also consciousness, but we are coming to see what is at the very core of ourself. And no dissociation is required. No dissociation is synonymous with imagination. We are imagining something and going somewhere. But I'm feeling you energetically, and I'm feeling you're coming to a very embodied realization in yourself. You're using the body to discover the beingness. And there will come a time where you're using the beingness to discover the self. But you won't be going anywhere out. You won't be going anywhere removed. It is all here. It is all right here. Just the consciousness is refining itself. So it is ready to deeply appreciate it. Because if we had a recognition of the self, yet we were not ready for that, then we would not appreciate it. It's like if you gave a child keys for, I don't know, a big house. You gave a 2-year-old child, there you go, here's a big house. The child would not appreciate it. The child would like a big sweeties. So we only appreciate these things as we become more conscious and more refined. And what is beautiful to see is that if you read the great sages down the years, they're all speaking about the same thing. They're using different language, and they may be using different expression a little bit, but at the core of it, it's the same. At the core of all mysticism, it is the same. Find the self. Find what is at the core, not as a kind of belief or not as intellect, but as your known experience, as your known felt experience. And as you come into that, something then is just coming into natural rest. Others may still speak about, these experiences and this wonderful thing and these incredible, but you are just quiet now. Something inside you is quiet. Something inside you is resting and deeply appreciative of this natural state of being in you. A great rest comes on your soul. A great stillness is present for you. And a tremendous gratitude for this. Where does this leave you, Helen?
No words.
Yes. Yes. That's the best answer. That is beautiful. Thank you. Thank you. When we come to that place where there are no words, but your energy is speaking words, silent words, then you know that you're home. You know that you're home. I'm coming to Hal's phone. Hal, I think it's Susan. We'll see.
Oh, yeah. Hi. You can hear me?
Yeah. Hi, Susan.
Hi. So, yeah, first of all, I just want to say I'm so amazed by how enlivening, like, it is like you can just the way you express everything is like, gosh, I just feel it. And it's very precious the way you teach us or guide us like that. I really feel your presence there, and yeah, so that's beautiful. Thank you. And actually, I was on a Moody retreat this weekend because he has an online one for the first time. So that was great, actually. Yeah, so that was. But I feel your presence actually more than in Moody's. You know, like it's like it's almost like we can feel where you are as you're speaking. You know, it's like it's just really I'm really amazed. But anyway, I had an accident a couple of years ago, or maybe it was 3 years ago already. And what happened was I was as if I was in coma, like brain dead. Not for long, luckily. And but what happened was I was in a space where I just was. I mean, it was all dark, by the way. It was pitch black, but I just was. I wasn't Susan. I didn't know I had ever existed. I didn't know there was something called Earth. I had no idea I had 2 kids. So it was no clue whatsoever. I wasn't even a person. I was just space. But I was. But that's all there was. I just was. But just that beingness was incredible, because it was very, it was like I felt perfectly complete and full. I had no fear. I just felt like everything was just perfect as it was. I was, even though I wasn't an I, it was like this perfect unconditional love, as everything is just fine. Just like, I mean, it was just, but there was nothing there, right? There was no forms, no colors, there was nothing. It was like black space without stars or planets. That's how it was. But it was just also very natural, though. It felt like, of course it's like this, but I wasn't thinking, because I couldn't think. There was no thoughts, but it was just like a knowingness of, yeah, it's like this. And of course, you know, it's natural. And anyway, it was just, wow. And what happened was suddenly I felt movement. There was no movement there either, right? And I felt a little bit of movement and thoughts coming saying, yeah, where am I? What? Oh, you're Susan. It was, Susan, you have 2 kids. You better be, So, and I felt more movement. I hear a voice again. I see, and I'm like, oh, yeah. And then I feel really settling in myself again, and I'm fully Susan again. But it was just, that whole transition I experienced there. And it was just like, wow, I've never in my whole life, of course, that never ever happened before. And I was just like, oh my God. And I'd always wanted to know what emptiness was. For so many years, I was like, oh, what is emptiness? I don't understand, all this. I'm reading about emptiness. And I was just like, oh my God, this was emptiness. Oh my God. I was so grateful. I was like, oh. And equanimity was also what came up to me. I was like, oh, everything is made of this. Oh my goodness, everything. And it was, I was just like, wow. And so that I think afterwards, as I'm in myself, because when I was in it, I wasn't thinking, I just was. But I'm so fortunate to have that memory with me, or because it wasn't even an experience. There was no experience there. There was nothing there, but it was just an isness, right? But I'm so fortunate that I still had that with me as I came to myself. And so then I've never had it like that since then. Because, well, I don't know why, but I have I feel it somehow, but it's not like that. I see people there's a world now. I'm Susan, it's all separate. There was just like, everything was just one, I was one with God, or call it, but there was no God to see, but it was just like that, I was just with that. It was like one with that. And now it's not like, I never felt one with everything again. And I kind of, throughout these last few years, I've learned, most likely won't happen like that, because it's like as if I was just the absolute, I was just that. I wasn't the relative at all, so, but now I'm the relative, and I want to be it. I want to be alive on earth, so I want to live my life. But I can't have just the absolute then, I can't just be brain dead. Maybe that's why I could just be the absolute, because I was pretty much dead or half dead, or I don't know. I really don't know anything, because it was just a beingness, and I didn't know anything, but at the same time there was this, you didn't need to know anything. It was like you were in this big, powerful knowingness where there was nothing to know, and you didn't need to, So it was fine. It's not like I know a bunch of things now from being there, because there was nothing to know, Yeah. So it's hard to explain, but here, now living my life like this, and I definitely have a lot of essence of it with me, and I've had it since then. But I also, I'm not considering myself awake. I'm not, because I not because I see separation. Maybe a little bit. It's so real in my body, this separateness, and I get caught into my mind, and my mind is very strong, and so it's like, my mind still wants, go there and understand, and my mind still, so I'm back in, fully in my body, and I'm living life, and my habits are there, and all that stuff that I need to kind of maybe integrate, or no, I don't need to do anything, as you say, but it's also at the same time. Mm-hmm.
Let us take a look now. Mm-hmm.
What's that?
Let us take a look together now.
Yeah.
Can you hear me? Okay.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Let us take a little look at this together now.
Yeah.
You say that you've had this experience. Yes, that you've had this experience of oneness where there was no Susan there was no role, there was no responsibility, but there was just the consciousness functioning by itself. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
But somehow when you came out of that state, all of the other things came back in, and then those things sort of pulled you back into a sort of personal shape again, and then that experience you had just became a memory.
Yeah, but not really just a memory. It was still very, and I still feel it's part of it's.
Yes.
But it's just very weak in comparison to what it was.
Yes. Yes. If I ask you right now,
Mm-hmm.
if you just become very present with yourself right now,
mm-hmm.
and very still inside yourself right now.
Mm-hmm.
And just for a moment, if you don't grasp at anything that is happening or any movement in the mind, if you just, it is still going on, but for a moment you don't grasp enjoyment that is just kind of taking place, but you just stay in your core center. And as you come into this core center in yourself,
Mm-hmm.
if you trace that inwards, if you come to the very source of all phenomena, all movement, if you come to that space which is before the mind, before even your next breath, it is here. Just for a moment, you're leaving everything else alone, and you're just entering again your own self in the most naked way. You're leaving aside every role, every responsibility, every concept, and you're just coming into that naked essence of being, where you are conscious, you are awake, but you are not thinking.
Mm-hmm.
This is the state that you experienced at that time, and this state is also present now. In fact, this state is always present, but it gets overloaded with extra things. And here, it's like we are stripping ourselves back to the core and finding what is it that is just here by itself. Who truly am I? Susan came after this. Children came after this. Mother came after this. Roles came after this. What is original in me? What is the first in me? Who am I?
Mm-hmm.
Just let this contemplation sink into the heart.
Yeah.
What remains for you now?
Yeah, it's because I still know I'm here. You know, I get what you're saying and being in there, and I actually I'm getting better at not really thinking and just, but it's because I still know Susan is here. I still know Earth is, you know, so I feel that that I'm not fully there because I still know I'm here, you know.
Yes.
But that's probably how it's always going to be. Like, you still know you are here. I mean, you still know there's a body called Paul, right? It's not like that's all gone for you as you're speaking with me. And so I guess that's just how it is when you're alive on Earth. And
that is all there. That is all there.
Yeah.
But beyond all of that, and before all of that, I wanna see if we can honor what is at our core. Of course, everything else will still play out. Our human existence will play out. You've still got to take care of your children. You've still got to do these things. But what is going to give us the clarity in the insight is to see that at the core of all of these other things that are happening, there is this central, this spiritual heart at the center.
Yeah.
And the more we're able to just be one with that, you don't have to sort of be one with that all the time, but just in moments like this right now, just to be one with that. Because the more we're able to honor that and recognize that, then the more that will influence our worldly existence as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like sometimes I ask people, can you be conscious without thought? So you're here, you're awake, you're alert, but you're not thinking. Or if thought is there, you're not identified with thought. You're just here as conscious, awake presence. And is it possible to get used to that state? That state of, you've used the word emptiness. You said, I didn't know what emptiness was. Emptiness is just the emptiness of the personal I. Right. To be empty of that. Does it mean that we're not going to have feelings and all these things? Of course not. All of that is going to be there. But the one who identifies with it, the one that has been sort of living in our name and that has had all of our attention, this one is the one that is being brought into the light of inquiry. We're beginning to see, is that the totality of what I am? Because you have said, Susan, actually quite beautifully, you have said that there was a time in you during this period where you were conscious, you were awake, but the sense of the person wasn't there. That is proof that there is something here which is before the person. That is proof.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah.
And what is being encouraged here is to see if we can know ourselves to be that, and then just allow our human expression to be as it is. Just to, okay, our humanness is taking place. And on a human level, you know, we're all imperfect, we're all limited, we're all a kind of never-ending work in progress on the level of our humanness. But on the level of the self, on the level of being, that in and of itself is perfect. and that is the twist in consciousness, then we are no longer sort of trying to become perfect on the human level, but we recognize our deeper perfection on the spiritual level, which allows our humanness the freedom to be as it is.
Yeah. And that's also what I realized as I came to myself. I was like, oh my gosh, life is a miracle. Out of this black darkness, because I didn't travel anywhere. It just, out of this black darkness I was in, that was beautiful. But poof, you know, the whole world and sounds and colors and people. And I was like, wow, I couldn't believe it. I was like, life is a miracle. It's appearing out of, and so I really got a gift there also about life being a miracle. And at the same time, it's like you get distracted in that miracle of happenings, and but it's one too. So it's like, yeah, life and that, you know, it's all, and it's but resting in the beingness is, yeah, that's where you're fully yourself and you're fully human. Yeah. But it's not easy to do when there are other distractions. If you're past that, I mean, if your brain is dead and you can't think and you can't feel, it's easy, right? But it's not easy when all that is going on. But
That is one way. That is one way.
mm-hmm.
And another way is to just choose the heart.
Yeah.
To just choose the heart.
I know. Keep going to that. Yeah,
Just be still inside the heart.
Yeah.
And also bring the mind inside the heart.
Yeah.
If you bring the mind inside the heart, then the mind also becomes like the pure mind,
yeah.
or the sattvic mind, the quiet mind.
Yeah.
And this invitation is always fresh. It is always right now.
Yeah. 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 Thank you.
Thank you, Susan. Thank you. Now let's just take a few moments together before I think we have one more person. Yeah, we have one more person. We will take the last person. Now let's just have a couple of moments together just to let everything settle inside us. Okay, so I'm inviting Annie to come forward. Annie Lovik. Welcome, Annie.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi. Okay. Shall I just speak?
As you feel, yeah.
I'm not that good in this. I'm from Norway, and I struggle a bit with some English words, but I'll try my best. I also joined the retreat with Muji this weekend, and I had a really calm and nice weekend. But I have my niece living here. She's 19, and then on Sunday afternoon I drove to pick her up, to take her up, to bring her home, and then the show is on. The person is, I'm struggling with something. I'm really struggling with something in me. I'm triggered by her. And I have done this for a long time. Sometimes it's better, but sometimes it's really hard. So I try to do something with this, but it's really difficult for me. I see this person is very strong, and I'm trying not to identify me with this person, but I don't know, it's an autopilot, or I really struggle with this.
Yes.
So I know I think I understand why I have this issue with my niece, because it's all about my mother, of course. So she reminds me. So I've been there, I felt it, but I can't let go of it.
Yes.
So I need help with this.
Yes. It's very good that you share it and that you bring it forward. It's very good that you do that. Because also you coming forward in this way, a lot of people will say, oh, I have the same, with maybe my partner, with my child, son, daughter, grandparent, work colleague. There's always maybe one or two people that seem to really trigger us, yes. Trigger something inside us. But you have said that she reminds you of your mother. You've said that she reminds you of your mother. In what way does she remind you?
I think so. I'm quite sure about it, but...
In what way does she remind you of your mother?
I think she is when she had when she has a bad time. I feel I feel very rejected. Is that the word? Yeah, I think so. I feel very rejected, and I also feel. I think it's something about guilt, that I should help her, that I should be better, that
Yes.
I think so. I think also a woman from Sweden I've been talking a lot to, she said that you have been afraid for your mother's going to die from you were born. So I think this brings up a lot of I'm being afraid.
Yes. That part of you that is getting triggered by that, is that then, can we say that that is the inner child inside you?
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm.
Where do you feel her presence in you? Where do you feel her?
Right now?
Or in general, yeah.
Or in,
here, yeah.
Mostly here, I think. Yeah.
So then when she is around this lady, then she gets triggered and she feels a sense of rejection, and she feels over-responsible, it sounds like, on some level. But she feels rejected. Yeah. Yes. And this is what your mother, this is the same pattern that you had with your mother, is it? Yeah.
I think so.
Mother rejected you.
Yes, I think so. But I was very small, very little girl.
Yes. So that means that inside you there is going to be a wounded and afraid little girl, inner child. And that wounded little girl inside you, what she needs from you is that you don't reject her. That you don't reject her. And that you, what does it mean to not reject her? It means that you stay present with her. So that when she gets triggered and when she feels rejected, at this point, you become very conscious and you come into your higher self, into your heart presence.
Yes, but it all happens too fast.
At the moment, yes. At the moment, because it has been a pattern that has been with you since you were a young girl. But at the moment, it has happened fast. But I want to reassure you, and I want to remind you that it will not be like this all the time. And I'm going to say this from my own experience, because my own experience also is around inner child work. And I've done inner child work because also I have very wounded inner child. So I've had to do a lot of work in that area. And one of the main things that the child needs is he or she needs us to be fully present with her. Now, up until now, habitually, something has happened and you have just gone unconscious and you have just sort of rejected her and you've been triggered and something has happened. But even if that happens, you always get a second chance. At any moment, at any given moment, you can always become present as presence. Even if you get totally triggered and something happens and it's just, you can't do anything about it, then a few minutes after or a few hours after or even a few days after, at any point, the consciousness can return and you can again become present with that child. And the more you get familiar in doing this, the quicker this will happen. The more conscious you will become and the more reassured the inner child will feel. So your practice is just to stay conscious of the inner child so that you are always having some part of your awareness with the inner child in yourself. It's like you become, as presence, you become that loving mother to that child, and that loving mother that is not going to abandon her. Your own mother abandoned that child, but now you as the universal mother, as presence, you do not abandon her. you stay with her and you allow her to feel all of these feelings. You allow her to bring forward all of these feelings of rejection and abandonment and of not being good enough and of feeling guilty, and allow her space for that. But you hold the ground of loving presence for her. So like you're there and all of these things are coming up and you're there with her. And this is very possible.
Yes, I know.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've done it. I've done it a lot, but I know, I understand. I have too high expectation for myself, I think.
Yeah.
I want it to happen immediately.
Yes. Yes. You know, the only one that wants it to happen immediately is the kind of perfectionist part of ourselves. And what this requires is a kind of gentleness. It's just a real gentleness. Like, can you be really gentle with yourself? Can you invite this quality of gentleness into you? And can you speak to the child gently? Can you reassure the child gently? So it's almost like you're coming into a very sensitive part in yourself. And that sensitive part, really, it requires the feminine. It requires the universal mother, which is this all-encompassing, unconditional love. And that is not trying to be perfect. That is very gentle. That is very open. It is very welcoming. It is very beautiful. It is the most beautiful thing to open to the universal mother and to really invite this universal mother to heal the wounded inner child inside us. This is the most beautiful thing that can happen. What is happening for you now as we're speaking?
No, I know this is the way to go, and I think I have to let go of these expectations.
Yes.
and give myself more time and the unconditional love in this.
Yeah. Yes, very good. And if you let go of these expectations and you let go of this sort of perfectionist trait, what it means then is that you become vulnerable. You allow your vulnerability and you allow your sensitivity and you allow your humanness. That the perfectionist cuts us off from our humanness. But the perfectionist, it is a role that we had to play for a while. And now we are putting that role to one side and we're coming into our very deep sensitivity, which is before the perfectionist. Can you feel your own sensitivity as we're speaking? Just in a very gentle way that you allow yourself to open to your sensitivity.
Yes, I right now I feel mostly here, but I know I can feel it.
Yes.
But now it's my chest is very
Can you say something to that little girl from the universal mother in you?
it's all about time. Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, give myself time.
Yes.
Mhm. Mm.
Time to heal. Time to heal. Yes. Time to bring that stillness and gentleness to her. Yeah.
Mm.
Time truly for yourself. Yes.
I have the time.
Yeah.
Mm.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes. Mm. Mm. So we're coming to an end shortly now. Thank you for staying with us for the meeting. It seemed to go very quickly tonight. I know Yada mentioned it at the beginning, but one thing that we're really looking forward to is starting this focus group where we're going to meet a couple of times a week as a closed group. And this will be starting the middle of next week. So I'm hoping some of you feel to join that if you feel to. And that will just give us a kind of a group where it's the same group all the time. And it will give us the space to really just be with each other in being and explore whatever comes up out of that. And to create also this Sangha field, because I'm aware that there is so much wisdom amongst you all. There is so much experience amongst you all. And that if we can create this Sangha field, then it can be a great source of healing and strength for so many people. So I'm very much looking forward to that. I'm very much encouraging those who feel to join us to be part of that. And so as always, we will finish with a period of silence together. And you can sign off whenever you feel to. So thank you for joining me tonight. It was really wonderful to be with you tonight. I really enjoyed this evening's meeting. Really felt the presence of God here. Thank you, everybody. Thank you.